back to Southeastern 16. Apologies for the earlier fiasco. Don't know what the deal is there. Have not had internet issues in a long, long time, but apparently had them. We are Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Chase Robinson and Jay Greeson. We're going to talk Alabama's winning the Iron Bowl. We'll talk about Lane Kiffin. We'll talk about Vanderbilt winning in Knoxville and all the other games. Thank you guys for joining us again. Let's start from the top again. Chase, I'll start with you this time. On Alabama, first of all, reminder, we're brought to you by our friends at Game Time Sidekicks. They offer officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, every SEC school, 350 other universities. They got all kinds of stuff. They got stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 get you 20% off your discount or your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. Chase, I'm going to start with you on Alabama-Auburn because Alabama's MO most of the year was don't make mistakes and win the game that way. Alabama had been great about that until the Oklahoma game. Tonight, that was a big key because the Crimson Tide's offense, the numbers were not pretty, but between winning the game of mistakes and Ty Simpson coming up money when it mattered, Alabama walks out of Auburn with a win.
Yeah, they made the plays down the stretch they needed to. They took advantage of mistakes that they really needed to, and they ran the ball. I mean, that's we've spent a lot of time talking about that really all season of, hey, Alabama can't run the ball. They can't sustain the run, even if they get a few good runs. But tonight I thought that was the successful part of what Alabama did is they were able to run the ball and do it efficiently. And Jam Miller had a great night. Hated to see the way, and we were discussing that earlier, I know as well. The way he went out, that's not good. He was a workhorse tonight. But I thought seeing the running game do what it did for Alabama was, I know, something Alabama fans really wanted to see and were very grateful to see in this game. So Alabama did what they needed to do, made the plays they needed to down the stretch, and ran the ball really well, which was the recipe for the win.
Jay, Auburn, it has just been one thing after another. Last year it was mistakes. This year it wasn't mistakes. It couldn't move the ball. Then Auburn started moving the ball. Then tonight the mistakes come back. The penalties, the 2-0 edge and turnovers, not the way you want it to be. The drop passes, the fumble at the end. There was a way for Auburn to find a way to lose it a lot of times. Auburn seemed to find it tonight.
Yeah. Look, man, being an Auburn people, if anybody wonders, I guess the best way to describe this whole experience was, what was it? Middle of the third quarter that Blake sent out the link and that he would rename the live chat when the game ended. And I sent back, Chase, no, I don't know if you were on this text message or not, but I sent back, I can name the tile right now. Auburn figures out a way to break Jay's heart and or any Auburn fan's heart. I mean, it's just, I've never seen a team, and I think a whole lot of this falls on Hugh Freeze. And I don't give a damn what golf course he was watching from. But if you expect, whether you believe that you're going to succeed or fail, you're almost always right. So at some point, I mean, this team just stands around and waits until the other cleat drops, and it almost always lands on Auburn's head.
I think the other thing, Alabama was able to really get pressure on Ashton Daniels, Chase, late in the game in some spots. Bray Hubbard, who's one of the more underrated players in the league, made another huge play tonight. That was a key, again, just as it was on offense, making plays in the right spots, it was on defense too.
Yeah, and, Alabama's defense has progressively gotten better late in the season. They had some breakdowns middle of the year. Some teams have really put some pressure on them, but I thought Alabama's defense has gotten much better. And so I anticipated that tonight. Auburn's still able to do some things on them. But, yeah, they made the plays defensively when they needed to, took advantage of turnovers. Like I thought that was the teams that Alabama's going to be up against next, including seeing Georgia again next week, whoever they play in the playoff, like this defense is going to have to be sound. And I thought at times they were sound, pretty solid tonight.
Hey, they needed to be. And somebody needs to open a fridge and see what milk carton Ryan Williams is on.
No kidding.
That dude was a ghost.
Yeah, they had 10 guys catch passes tonight, none of them named Ryan Williams. Meanwhile, for Auburn, Malcolm Simmons 3 for $143, and of course that long touchdown, on the first drive of the second half, was the big guy. Is Coleman and Singleton just kind of went back to, almost irrelevancy tonight, other than Coleman with the fumble at the end, Jay.
Well, look, there's no way, and a bunch of it's probably not his fault. The dysfunction through the first 9 games, we all know where the blame deserved to be placed on that. But if Ryan Williams was a ghost, Cam Coleman capped a really disappointing year that a lot of people thought, myself included, he was going to be right there with Jeremiah Smith and some of those guys as a first-team All-American.
Yeah. Got some maybe breaking stuff on Lane Kiffin. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let's hit a couple other games first. I think that probably the next biggest one of the day would have been LSU and Oklahoma. Vanderbilt and Tennessee would be up there too. Playoff implications there. Boy, Oklahoma had that game lost. And then LSU's defensive backfield just decided not to guard Isaac Satania. Not Jackson Dart. Good grief. John Mateer, almost a quarterback ago, wasn't great today, but I think I could have made that throw. Chase Oklahoma survives, and now I just don't think can avoid the playoff. By the way, we're gonna go right to Lane Kiffin after this. We'll punt on the other games till later in the broadcast. But since I started it, let's put a wrap on Oklahoma LSU quickly.
Yeah, that was one of those games that, again, Oklahoma made the plays they needed to, especially late, to stop LSU, to get that win. Weird game, but yeah, they did what they needed to get it done.
Yeah, Oklahoma now with a ton of big wins. It's not always exciting, but the Sooners are going to make the playoff. I think ESPN FBI had a 99% chance, and I would concur on that. So congrats to the Sooners. Defense, again, was huge today, as has been the whole year. All right, let's get to Lane Kiffin. We'll hit some of the other games later. Ross Dellinger reporting that LSU executives and Lane Kiffin's reps held a call after the Tigers game to continue solidifying the deal with travel plans. You had a stalemate in Oxford all day today with Lane Kiffin, I think the chancellor and the AD meeting at someone's house. It felt like to me, just listening to everything, I guess that the holdup is Lane wants to coach his team in the playoffs, or at least, whatever. I guess the SEC title game now off the board. But that was about to get really interesting for a minute. Had Auburn won this game, you would have seen Ole Miss with God knows who coaching the Rebels next week in Atlanta. Didn't go down that way, but looks like basically there was sounded like an agreement last week that Lane Kiffin was going to make an announcement after today's game. I don't think there was anything that Ole Miss could hold him to. Felt like he's holding out to coach the playoffs. And Ole Miss is saying, hey, look, the college football calendar with the portal, with signing, all those things, we need to get the next guy in here. You need to get out of here. And here we are, guys. Jay Greeson, have you ever seen anything like this Lane Kiffin standoff between Ole Miss, LSU, and all these things here? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it had a little bit of feel early on about almost wishful thinking. I do want to go. I can't recall anything that had this measure. My two biggest takeaways, one is the calendar has to be changed.
Yes.
I mean, the calendar has to be changed because college football is really the only major sport in our country that technically the off season overlaps with the postseason. So that's got to be fixed ASAP. Secondly, I think Ole Miss should give Lane Kiffin a big cup of shut the bleep up if you want to coach that team. If you want to coach that team, stay, man. You don't get to dictate terms on your exit in that. I mean, you're the one messing this up, Lane. And look, I think he's going to win a national championship in 3 years at LSU. But I get wanting to leave, and he'll bring Ed Orgeron with him. But you don't now get to make that decision. That's theoretically, all right, one of us leaving the Times Free Press, my full-time day job, and saying, you know what, though? I really want to cover the Super Bowl this year, so I'm just going to – you guys go ahead and credential me for the Super Bowl again, and then I'll cover it for you. How about that? How about no? How about beat it? And the love fest on game day about
oh my gosh,
talking about how dare they, including Saban, was going, they should let him coach. He fired Lane Kiffin for something almost exactly like this. Fired him and said, beat feet. You're not calling plays in the playoff. I mean, hit the bricks now.
I'm biased because he's a friend of mine. Neil McCready is the best guy on that beat, and as good a beat reporter as you'll find anywhere. And Neil's been pretty even keeled and I think fair about the whole thing. Neil called a lot of people out today. Had a tweet saying ESPN should be embarrassed by itself with what it did in the broadcast. I agree with that too. I mean, come on, all this thing of really you're just gonna let Ole Miss's program its future burn to the ground.
Who the hell are you? Who's going to take that job? Not getting to come in there and recruit in December and when the portal opens.
Right. Bingo. That's number one. Number two, the tweet with the dog. Did you guys see that? You know, his dog's got a Twitter account that obviously Lane operates. Neil called him out about that too, and he was right. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? If you're going to stay and announce you're staying, okay, that's appropriate to have some fun. To pull the charade that he did today, all this stuff of he's grown up and this and that and the other, he's a changed man. I'm sure that he is in a lot of ways, but you didn't see it on display today, Chase.
No, and it's such we've never been really in this situation before where you have a coach who their team is in the playoff and they're taking another job, supposedly. And so, I mean, yes, in his mind, he's thinking about, this is my team right now. I want to see it through, but you also, like you guys are talking about, you've got to look at the future as well. If you're Ole Miss and say, who do we now get in place to keep building this thing, to keep going forward? And Lane's not thinking about that. Lane's thinking about, how can I finish this when that's not on Ole Miss's mind right now. We also have to build for the future. So it's a tough spot to be in. And
I'll go you one step further, Chase, on hit the bricks, pal. The last time Lane left in the middle of the night, Ed Orgeron and Lane Kiffin were calling players in their Tennessee recruiting class to get them to follow them to USC. So, I mean, and I know because we were all over that story. I was a sports editor at the time. Are you really going to give Lane Kiffin another month to try to recruit some of those Ole Miss kids to hop in the portal and follow him to Red Stick?
Think for a minute how bad this got, okay? You've led Ole Miss to its best season maybe in history. I mean, maybe the 50s and the 60s, there was a better one in there. I don't know. I mean, different game there, pre-integration, and at least through a lot of that.
They went
Best Ole Miss season,
right?
Yeah, but different game. Best season of our lifetimes. And Ole Miss was extremely patient with Lane Kiffin through the Auburn thing. Okay, to put a school through that, and then to do this whole time. And look, we'll get to LSU in a minute because Lane Kiffin's got a chance to kill it at LSU. But you just do wonder if the personal maturity is just going to continue getting in the way. Because to ruin all that goodwill, and I think there were a lot of people down there who were fed up with it and wanted him gone after all this. And to kill that much goodwill after what he's won 50 games in 5 years, they're in the playoff. Think about that a minute. How badly do you have to botch a situation for people to say, screw it, we don't want you around anymore? And I think that's where everybody is.
And speaking of botched, and I think this may be the guy who was the engine behind this is one of the nicest main big names at ESPN. But Ryan McGee's story on him looks like an absolute farce now. This is about family, that we found a spot in Oxford. I mean, it looks like a puff piece mushroom cloud of crap.
I got some beefs with our profession, to be honest with you. You got all these big time reporters out there that are really just stool pigeons for agents a lot of times. You got ESPN doing its thing today. We're going to do puff pieces about everybody. There's no such thing as investigative journalism anymore, unless your name's Trey Wallace. Like, Jay, where are we at with the media in college football these days? Because I don't think this was by any semblance a good week for the media.
Well, I think there's truth in that too, but I think, look, man, the whole thing started changing when everybody in this profession cared more about being first than they did about being right.
Yeah.
And that was the springboard that started the spiral into the abyss. Then what has happened is now, and it's understandable for some, but the coveting of access over accuracy and standards, because everybody wants insider access, and if you feel like you burn one of those bridges and you lose access, in a lot of ways, you're running the risk of losing your livelihood. But at what cost? Because if you're not doing the job right and you're not doing it with integrity, then you're going to lose your livelihood anyway.
Yeah, but I just feel like it's a different media now. The guys that are the biggest names in media are the ones that kind of just do the bidding for the agents and the programs, and that's that. I don't know how many people care, but I don't know. It felt like we hit a little bit of a tipping point today with some of that potentially. But you tell me.
Man. Okay. Did everybody freeze for a second there? Chris sounded like the guy who smoked too many Marlboros and had the voice box thing next to his throat. I mean,
everything looks great on my end. Please tell me my internet is not crapping out again.
I think that was Jay's that time. Jay's the only one that froze on my screen.
Chase, you've been silent for a couple minutes. Have at it.
Well, I mean, I just think this whole week I've thought Lane is staying at Ole Miss because I felt like he wouldn't do this to Ole Miss. Like, I felt like he's wanted to get to the playoff, and here's his opportunity. And I know he has to think about, if he wants to win a championship, where he can do that. But he's finally in the playoff. And so I just thought, okay, if they beat Mississippi State, then he's going to stay. He's going to ride this thing out. That's going to show him that he can win at Ole Miss. Obviously, that might not be the case now. So it looks like he's heading to LSU. But I really thought that that this was his time where he could say, "Hey, I'm staying here." And y'all mentioned the Ryan McGee thing. I did watch it. I've read a lot about it of the deal with Lane Kiffin that they did. But yeah, all that looks, you can throw that away now. I mean, all of what they talked about is now irrelevant.
I think the thing that's bothersome is people put in a lot of time and money. Kiffin begged for money for the portal. After face planting last year with the talent he had, not getting the playoff, they rebooted, did it again, got the same stuff they got there this time. And all the, complaining about attendance and all those things, you call people out for being invested or not being invested, and then you do that. That's the issue I've got with it. But anyway, I've made my point. I think we have. LSU, hey, boy, it's going to be a quick turnaround for all that whenever he ends up there officially. But this is a guy that, what's the stat? Two starters returning from last year's team. The self-proclaimed portal king, Jay, shouldn't take him long to go to LSU and do this down there.
Well, I don't know if it's my end, but I had a hard time hearing what you had to say, Chris. You guys are freezing up on me pretty bad. So let me log out and I'll come right back.
Okay. Yeah, Chase, I'll let you hit that for a minute. I mean, the good thing for LSU, rebuilds, as everybody knows, aren't what they used to be. Lane Kiffin is as good at this as anybody. I would think that he could get LSU back on great footing again very, very quickly, the way college football works now.
Especially if LSU's willing to spend the money that they did this offseason to put together the roster that they had. Now, obviously, it didn't prove as much as they would have liked it to. They put that roster together, win a championship, but they didn't have a championship-winning coach in charge. So, yeah, if they spend the money they did this offseason and let Lane Kiffin put together the roster that he likes, then yeah, I think LSU will be very relevant under Lane.
I thought LSU was supposed to be poor. You had all the buyouts, going back for a while. You got the Brian Kelly buyout. They paid Ed Ogeron $18 million a few years ago to walk away. They don't have the well-heeled boosters like other schools. And then it didn't matter. People write checks for what they want to write to. And Lane Kiffin is always a guy who has been able to convince people to write checks and give him chances.
Yeah, and he's going to have plenty of opportunities down in Baton Rouge to do that. I mean, LSU is hungry to win a championship. And if they give Kiffin the resources, if he has the staff that I'm sure he wants to have, then it's set up for him to do that.
Yeah. All right. I want to hear from people. Where does the money come from? Is it the Raising Cane's guy? We got some LSU people in here. Where do the checks come from? I'll be curious to know. And by the way, you're not just gonna have to write checks for Lane Kiffin and staff and buyouts, but stuff programs need to win on top of that. So we're going to get there in just a minute because I'm very interested where that comes from, because all we heard for most of the fall was that LSU's got some money trouble. So interested to see what that looks like. Reminder, we are brought to you by Yearly Company, a Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition, designed for meaning. Each piece handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold, natural gemstones made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle is custom size, so knowing your size is the most important first step before you order. That's where the sizing kit comes in. Code SE16KIT, KIT, get you 100% off your sizing kit. Hope you weren't out in all the Black Friday mess where you were. Hopefully you went to Yearly Company to get your fiance, your wife, your girlfriend something. But if you haven't, take us up on that. Yearly Company is where you go. And again, the free sizing kit is part of the deal at the moment. Also brought to you by Rockform. I think Lane Kiffin made a lot of people want to throw their phones on a lot of ends this week. Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss for sure. If you threw your phone over Lane Kiffin or the Iron Bowl or whatever, I hope you had your phone in a Rockform case like I do mine. It is the world's strongest magnetic phone case. It has Rock-Lock secure mounting, and you can go get yours at Rockform, ROKFORM.com. SEC25 gets you 25% off your entire order. And you can thank us for that later. Get the phone case and the vent clip for your car. You will love that. That's my setup. It is great. Doesn't cost all that much money. And boy, you get your stuff protected. Yeah. Money. Where does it come from? Because boy, LSU, you guys got a lot of checks to write. Some people in the chat saying no money trouble. Other people saying all fundraise. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. I'm just curious who's writing the checks. Because I've heard this from LSU people. You don't have the deepest roster of billionaire-type boosters like you've got at other SEC schools. Now, having said that, passion for LSU athletics is just about unrivaled anywhere. And people will write for checks for stuff that they want to get. So I'm going to take their word for it. It wasn't a problem, but it's just interesting to hear the narrative all fall and then see LSU. I'm not going to say win a bidding war. I think Ole Miss probably would have matched whatever, but have enough money to be in the sweepstakes. Turns out people just like to win football games.
They do, and they like to do whatever it takes to win football games.
Let's see. People want to know where Ole Miss's money comes from. Disrespectful to ask that question. I don't know what's disrespectful about it. That was stuff coming from LSU itself. Florida's always got money. Ole Miss had enough money to bankroll a good bit of NIL. So, yeah, I don't know what was disrespectful about that, but anyway, somebody had an issue with it. Let's see. I think we missed a few super chats here. Excuse me as I scroll through those. James Bradford says, feel bad for Vandy not making college football playoff. We'll get into that in just a minute as we wrap up some other games. And I feel like we had one or two earlier in the show. Boy, we got a lot of comments. Yeah, thank you for Jay Addison gifting a Southeast SEC 16 membership. Appreciate that. If you've got a question or comment you want to be read, best way to do it, send us a super chat. That ensures we are going to get there and do that. Not that we don't read some of the freebies, but boy, the comments are coming quickly here tonight. Jay Greeson's back with us. In the meantime, Blake has said, an attempt to retain Jon Sumrall, Tulane has extended him a multi-year offer averaging more than $4 million a year. I don't think that's going to cut it with Jon Sumrall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in how that's going to play out because apparently all indication that he's going to be making a decision or let us know what's going on tomorrow if he's staying at Tulane or taking another job. But I mean, Tulane obviously wants to keep him. What does he want to do? Like, again, we're caught up in this situation. If you're, let's say, Florida and you want Jon Sumrall, do you say, hey, let's sign you up, let's let you work both, coach Tulane first round playoff game and still be the coach at Florida? Like, I know, and that's probably what they're trying to work out right now. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do. I mean, if he wants to stay at Tulane or go elsewhere.
What are the dominoes that fall next? Because I think Ole Miss was trying to get Sumrall interested. Florida, that's the guy that Florida's chasing. I think one reason Ole Miss wanted Kiffin to hurry up was to be able to get in there, which again, I think makes in my mind what Lane Kiffin did even worse. So we don't know where he's going to land. Somebody said earlier in the chat that Kentucky Sports Radio was talking about Stoops might get fired. That was a disaster today. Yeah. Sumrall is a Kentucky alum. And I think the narrative all off season was that Jon Sumrall holds a special reverence for his alma mater and maybe value that more than some other opportunities. I don't know if that's changed. I'm not reporting that as fact. It just is interesting because Jon Sumrall now is like the guy that everybody wants. Yeah. Kiffin off the board. So.
Right. And I think that, Jon Sumrall is in a good spot because he has multiple programs who want him, including Ole Miss, who very well could lose Lane Kiffin in a matter of moments, maybe. And I'm sure Keith Carter has had conversations with him already or with his representatives, knowing that this job being open at Ole Miss was a possibility. So I think that Jon Sumrall is going to be making more money next year wherever he's at. Obviously, Tulane wants to make that happen too, and he's a great coach. I mean, I think he's going to do well wherever he goes. But he can go to any of these open jobs because they're all after him. I think from all indications of reports I've seen today is that it's not looking like he'll be at Auburn, but most certainly could see him at Florida. I think yes, he played at Kentucky, but if Florida and Ole Miss are offering you over with Kentucky, I feel like you would take one of those two jobs over Kentucky, even though you went there. I don't know, though. Maybe that'd be different for him. But Jon Sumrall he's in a good spot right now, and he's done a great job of getting himself to this spot because he's won a lot of football games. He's got that edge to him. I like listening to his press conferences. He seems like a really solid coach, and so yeah, he's got a bright future.
Well, very well liked and respected in the profession, as is Alex Golesh, who, gosh, that was all but done a few days ago. Then that leaked. Apparently, Golesh got upset about that. I think Florida tried to get involved. I can't remember now. Golesh made a statement today. I'm reading this from Whole Hog Sports. And here's his quote asked about that. Says, I'm going to enjoy this tonight with my family. This is after they beat Rice. We'll figure it out. I'm not smart enough to be able to focus on two things at once. I'm so process driven. So I'm locked into what's going on. I've not had the opportunity to process any of it. So I really haven't. Goes on to say Golesh apologized to his team Wednesday when reports surfaced of his connection to the Arkansas vacancy. He says, I told him on Wednesday, man, just give me some time to process everything that's going on because I've not had time. I've not had time with my family, with my wife to process everything that's going on. So we're going to take some time to process and figure that out. Again, just the timeline in college sports sucks for all this. In addition to just making a decision about a job, you got families, you got all those things. Do we think Alex Golesh ends up at Arkansas after all?
I don't know. I mean, I think that'd be a good hire for them. But with the way it leaked out, I mean, that may have turned him off to that job. So I don't know. I think he could end up somewhere, and I think he would be a good hire too. Him and Jon Sumrall both are very sharp coaches in that group of five right now.
I mean, okay, we've got, let's see, Clark Lee settled at Vanderbilt this week. Eli Drinkwitz settled at Vanderbilt, at Missouri this week. On top of that, we talked about Arkansas. We talked about Florida. Like how many? I mean, I guess if Golesh goes to Arkansas and Sumrall goes to Florida, well, I mean, Sumrall's also would be in play at Ole Miss. So, like, somebody's going to be unhappy and left out at the end, which is where we've said this was going all along.
I mean, that's when these schools kept firing their coaches. I mean, you're exactly right. That's what we said. Like, there's going to be the one or two schools who gets who they want, and the rest of them are going to end up with someone they don't want, someone that very well could not even be better than the coach they just had. So, yeah, there's going to be some programs really in a tough spot after this coaching carousel comes to a close.
Yeah, Bo reminds us Elko was extended A&M, so there's that one
Yes,
too.
he was.
Let's see.
Because you think of like with Auburn, Jon Sumrall was their guy. Now he's backed off of Auburn, so they're in a tough spot. Like that's been their guy they've been targeting all along, and now if Ole Miss is open, I think that is a great landing spot for Sumrall. So yeah, it's crazy times out there.
Chat says Blake Baker to Tulane. Now that would be interesting because that guy, I don't know what kind of head coach he would be, but he would be one. I mean, he's maybe, I don't know what, a top 5 defensive coordinator in the sport, Chase.
Yeah. Yeah. He's solid.
Yeah.
That'd be a good opportunity for him.
Not reporting, but just that. So, more rumors about planes and, Baton Rouge and Lane Kiffin, stuff in the chat about cars from the family leaving Oxford. Yeah. But I wonder also, like, how much of the staff does he take with him? Because Joe Judge would be the interim coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
The messes the timelines create are just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the truth. And we mentioned that earlier. I mean, it needs to change. It really does.
Somebody in the chat says Kiffin wants USC. I think we tried that once. Speaking of which, yeah, what about Southern Cal can have a vacancy.
Yeah. And I would just add to it. Again, there's not enough coaches to go around to all the open jobs. So you're putting yourself in a tough spot, especially if you make a change to slate. I'm talking about Kentucky. And again, some schools don't have an opportunity, or their coach is going to leave. And so that opens their job up. But like Kentucky, if they fire Stoops, you're putting yourself in a tough spot because you're way behind everybody else.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley leaving Southern Cal would be interesting because he left Oklahoma just about the minute OU got in the SEC. So to get back to the SEC feels like a weird move.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I don't know where that'll end. The other one, and I brought this up the other day. Keep an eye on Marcus Freeman, because if Marcus Freeman leaves Notre Dame, for a Penn State, I don't know why he would, but that one's got a little chatter on. NFL is a possibility for him. There's some interest there. Like there's a chance that there's a whole secondary round of dominoes that gets sets off again.
Yeah. And everybody's waiting on Lane Kiffin.
By the way, where does Brian Kelly end up? Does Brian Kelly end up back in coaching? I mean, I would think so.
I don't know if he will this cycle. I think maybe next cycle. It's taken so long to get everything kind of rounded out, with his buyout and stuff. I think he will next year. I don't know about this year though.
Yeah. Be interested to see where all the dominoes settle on this. All right. Let's hit some other games. We talked about Oklahoma briefly. We'll get to Vanderbilt next. Your impressions on the Sooners today, Chase? But boy, they had to white knuckle one there. With some help from LSU.
Right. They took advantage of mistakes, and they made the plays down the stretch to get it done. Came up big defensively. We know they've been good defensively all year, and so I think that I mean they're in a good spot, and I think that they get in the playoff, and would surprise me if they won a game. Like that's what kind of team Oklahoma is, especially defensively. So they had to grind it out, but they made the plays they needed to win.
Arguably the best defense in the country.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what they're gonna. They've got to get John Mateer to quit making mistakes because I just you've got to score some points in this win everything 13-10 thing that they're in. I don't know how long that can last in the playoff, but for now, man, it's working. And man, they have bagged. Does anybody have more impressive wins, like just than Oklahoma? I mean, I think somebody does, but they've now taken down Michigan, Tennessee on the road, Alabama on the road, Missouri, and LSU. I know LSU's kind of a punching bag right now, but that defense is still good enough to show up and win the game. And really, other than its safeties losing all track of awareness on a couple of plays, LSU's defense had them right there again today.
Yeah, and you're right about Oklahoma and the fact that they've got to be able to score in the playoff. They're going to have to be able to score. They can't just rely on, yes, you need a good defense, but you can't just rely on your defense to keep you in games. You've got to be able to get some momentum offensively, and that's just something we haven't been able to see from Oklahoma, and that needs to be their focus the next few weeks, getting ready for the playoffs.
All right, let's talk Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Super impressive performance from Diego Pavia. Almost 450 yards of total offense. That guy's been on an absolute heater the last couple of weeks. I don't know how there could be a Heisman ceremony without him. Frankly, I don't know how you can not make him your guy at the moment, the way he's played. 2 first-half turnovers. Didn't matter. He comes back. I think Vanderbilt scores, 5 or 6 drives until the kill the clock drive. I mean, he ran for $160 today, threw for 230 something. Vanderbilt had almost 600 yards, I think, in that game. And by the way, the defense held Tennessee to its lowest per play average of the year. Vanderbilt going into Knoxville and doing some work today. If the committee watches playoffs, if it watches games like it purports to, I think you have to reconsider Vanderbilt a little bit and think about maybe moving the Commodores up a few spots from the poll. Now, and what I think is going to happen, I'm guessing the SEC is going to have a glass ceiling, and there's not going to be a stomach for 6 SEC teams in. But, boy, Vandy really did some work in Knoxville today.
They sure did, and they put an exclamation point on this season. And they were out there to prove a point, Chris, and to me they did. I think they should be in the playoff. I don't know if they will, but from what I saw today and watching what I was able to in that game is that that was huge for them. And the way they were able to score, the way they were able to hold a really good Tennessee offense, that shows that this team is ready for the playoff, and I think they should be in. I don't know if I don't know if they will be, but to me, they look like a playoff team the way they beat Tennessee.
Yeah, I think right now, I don't think anybody wants much part of them. No. Pavi's just making every play in sight. The only knock on him right now, he did force a couple of throws today, but that's also part of his game. I mean, he's made plays all year. But yeah, Vandy, we'll get into the playoff picture in just a minute because I've got some thoughts on that. SC Scout guy says the Tony Basilio show was epic day. I bet it was. Tony's a friend of mine, did his show last week. He does ours some during the season. The Heupel hot seat talk is kind of interesting. I guess did Tennessee not beat a team that was with a winning record yet this year? Is that true? Pardon me.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. And like, I know Tim Banks has been under a lot of heat this year. But you lose your top two corners, and one of them's a first rounder, Jamad McCoy. That anybody is going to struggle with that. I think it's going to get interesting. Sam, are we reporting that Banks is fired? Or is that we think that's going to happen? I don't know. Sam will let us know. I think Tim Banks gets a mulligan on this year, but that's just me. Seems to be just me. I mean, I thought he's had great defenses at Tennessee until now.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Vandy, I'll get to the playoffs in just a minute. The rest of the SEC quickly, I guess. By the way, I noticed Cal beat SMU. So I think that puts Duke at 7-5 in the ACC title game, which is just crazy.
Yes, that is crazy.
I'll go SEC on SEC first. Missouri 31, Arkansas 17. That was a weird game. Missouri threw all of 7 passes today. Ahmad Hardy ran for $154. And frankly, speaking to the Heisman, that guy should be in the conversation. Did you see the run that he had where he was all but stopped? And
yes,
then broke
I
out of a. I mean, like I say, the run, like he's done that all year, but like he had an amazing one today. Arkansas ends the season losing 10 in a row. Didn't move the ball against Missouri. I mean, Missouri, again, that defense has been unbelievable. Arkansas, 242 yards of total offense today. That's got to be the lowest total Arkansas had all year. That's another thing on the bingo card for Arkansas. Other team throws 7 passes, and you lose the game by 14.
Yeah, that's kind of same thing we've been seeing all year, I feel like.
Yeah. Let's see. Next, let's go Clemson, South Carolina. I think one of the shockers for me this year was that Carolina just was never really able to run the ball with the talent it had on its backfield. Interestingly, kind of found some playmakers late in the season. Nick Harbor had another nice day. The Jacobs kid had a big day. Sellers' brother, I didn't know he had a brother until a couple of weeks ago, had another nice day. And then I guess the defense just kind of fell apart today. 415 total yards to Clemson, which has struggled on that side of the ball today. Clemson finally looked like the Clemson I think we thought we'd see a little bit, but Sellers throws for almost 400, but 2 picks there.
Yeah, and they were just in some tough spots at times. South Carolina was, and you got to be able to bounce back from that. They couldn't at times. Just the turnovers put them in a tough spot. Like, I feel like that was just kind of like South Carolina just took blow after blow and couldn't bounce back from it.
Yeah. Carolina ends the season 4-8. I have a feeling they'll bounce back next year. Very interested to see what Lenore Sellers does. Does he stay in Carolina? He's from there. A lot of talk he might hit the portal, end up in Miami or somewhere like that. But we'll see. I think rebooting Lenore Sellers, if I'm Shane Beamer, I'm kind of doing what Vanderbilt did a couple of years ago. I'm rethinking the offense a little bit. I'm definitely getting a better coordinator. That's always been Shane Beamer's Achilles heel, is picking bad coordinators. And I'm making sure you got some experienced linemen. Because the line is where all their problems started. You could see it from the first couple of games of the season, and it just never got better with any consistency.
Yeah, you're right. And Chris, some news that's rolling out from Marty Smith there at ESPN, and I just saw that as Brett also put it in the chat. But there is a team meeting at Ole Miss at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then a announcement from Lane Kiffin following that.
Yeah. Okay. SC Scout says somebody's going to the NFL. Who are we talking about here? I'd like to know. That's interesting. Let's see. Louisville, Kentucky. I'm just kind of going on the order at CBS Sports. Man, Kentucky 2 weeks ago was playing so well. Okay, so Sellers is going to the NFL. I don't know that I'm in favor of that move, but it worked for Anthony Richardson, so maybe it works here too, especially if you can't get linemen. Yeah, Kentucky just ended on an awful note the last 2 weeks after really for about a 5-game stretch playing really well. Got shut out today. Cutter Boley was bad. Just nothing going right for the Cats. And losing a rivalry game like that by that many points to Louisville feels like that maybe eroded all the goodwill that Mark Stoops had won back.
Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen there now? I mean, it's a mystery.
Yeah, let's see. Next up, we've got Florida State. Hey, who had Jaden Ball going for 266 on the ground and Florida scoring 40 points today? I did not. Florida looked kind of disinterested after the Tennessee game last week. Maybe Florida State was more disinterested. Didn't get to see that one. More important games, but kind of surprised to see Florida go out the way it went today. Just clocking Florida State.
Yeah, I mean they were motivated for that one, and it looked good doing it. So, yeah, that was a good way to go out if you're Florida.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up here in just a minute. Let's hit medal stand and then playoffs on the way out. Here's what I've got. Let me pull it up. Tell me if you've got different ideas. I'm going team. Oh, gosh. I'm going to go Texas Gold. Beat A&M in a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Only team to beat A&M all year. We good there?
Yep.
I'm going silver Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt could not control the other stuff and may looking like Vanderbilt going to get left out of the playoff, but the things Vandy could control, it controlled very well today. And then I'm going to go, I don't like to do this, but I can't make up my mind between Ole Miss and Alabama. Alabama went into a fired up Auburn and got that. And I don't care if Auburn is 0-11 going in. Always a tough place to win. And Ole Miss, to kind of finish with the exclamation point it did with Trinidad Chambliss and Lacey being so good, just controlling that one. Speaking of hated rivalry games, Mississippi State may not have been as bought into that one, but with all that pressure on the line and all the distractions, I thought Ole Miss handling business was impressive. I can't make up my mind, so I'm just going to give them both a spot on the stand there.
No, and I think that's fair because if you look at Ole Miss, you do have to look at the distractions they had all week, really the last 2 weeks, and the way they came out and played and won that game. I mean, I think that says a lot about them. So, yeah, I agree.
Okay, medal stand for players. I'm going to go gold to Diego Pavia. I think this is the third straight week he's won it. 18-28 passing, 268, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That was the 2 picks there. But, boy, he made up for it in the second half. Rushes 20 times for $165 and a touchdown, and frankly, should be in New York. And in my opinion, he's the best player in the country. We're good with the gold there.
I most certainly agree with that.
This guy might have been up there with him with an earlier start, and who knows, might be there anyway. Trinidad Chambliss, 23 of 24, is that right? 359 passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 8 of 26, and a score rushing. We good with that one?
Yeah.
Bronze, a lot of people could have been considered. including Ahmad Hardy, who was really good again. Q1 Lacey was good. I know I'm missing some guys, maybe Arch Manning, but I went with Jaden Ball, 38 carries, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns for Florida.
Yeah, and I thought he had a terrific day. So, yeah, I think that's good.
All right, playoff picture. Let me pull that one up because I think that is it's not completely decided, but it is solidifying. I think right now, if I'm doing it, I probably go Ohio State 1, Indiana 2. That will get sorted out in the Big 12 title game. I think I might even go Oregon at 3, Chase. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but Oregon's been really impressive and has finished its season beating Southern Cal and Washington and punching its ticket to the playoff.
Yeah, and I think that I think that's fair.
Okay, I'm going to go.
What they can do.
Yeah, I'm going to go next. Let's see. Other teams that are in. Georgia's in, beating Georgia Tech this weekend. A&M is in at 11-1. So that's 5 automatics. Ole Miss is getting in. I would say that's 6. Texas Tech, look, you're going to have to go out next week and beat BYU in the title game. But, I mean, is Texas Tech, is that a winner take all in the Big 12, we think?
Yeah, probably. I would think so.
Yeah. Alabama's going to be in after tonight. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 locks. 3 Big Ten teams. Georgia A&M, Alabama, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. That's 9. Big 12 is getting 1. So we're looking at 2 bids between. Wow. Is that right? Okay. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. Georgia A&M, Alabama, Ole Miss is 7. Oklahoma is 8. Big 12 would be 9. So you're looking at group of 5 gets 1. Right now, I'm guessing that's Tulane. Could be James Madison. You were looking at ACC is going to get 1. That is either going to be Duke, since SMU got beat, or Virginia. So then you're looking at did we even say Notre Dame?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's in there, Vandy's in there. I don't think Utah. You can't put in Utah after the way it's looked the last couple of weeks.
No.
Yeah, I mean, does Notre Dame get a reevaluation? I don't know. Wins weren't that great. So, yeah, I think that's your problem. You just don't have enough chairs for all the participants here.
Yep. And it's always this weekend where the coaches start like Cristobal did this, this afternoon in his post-game interview. You start like lobbying for your team to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And so we're getting that now from the coaches of, hey, this is what we've done. This is why we should be in. They're publicly saying, this is why we need to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting next week. Might have some really good Florida Bowls too, with some of these teams that are going to get snubbed. Be interested to see if teams show up for those or not. Traditionally, that's not been the case lately. But anyway, Chase Robinson, let's call it a wrap. Any parting thoughts?
I mean, it's been a great rivalry weekend once again, and it's a lot of the off the field drama that's taken up a lot of, I know, everyone's time and thoughts on college football this weekend. And it's those dominoes will start falling tomorrow for a lot of teams. You will probably have your new coach within the next 28 to 48 hours. And so there's going to be a lot of chatter for the coaches on the coaching searches over the next day or two.
Yeah. We'll be here for all that. We'll be here for championship game prediction next week, Georgia, Alabama. How fitting in the end. We're back to that again. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. We got hoops coverage constantly. We've been rolling out baseball interviews with SEC head coaches. If you follow the major 3 sports in the SEC on the men's side, we're your home for all that year round. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Don't forget the membership tier. We're putting out special stuff for our members, and I think you're going to like a lot of that stuff too. I know our subscribers already are. All right, we're calling it a night here. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Have a great night. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.